Partridge.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And aha! It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here today at Borders. By the way, if any of you are, obviously as you are, filming this on your flip jacks or Blu-rays or iPods, please, and you're thinking of putting it up on YouTube, let me tell you this. I will find you. I will track you down. You won't know where, you won't know when, but I will get up in your face. Okay. I'd like to start by reading a few extracts from my new book. I've got a book out, by the way. Hi, Partridge. We need to talk about that. The first extract I'd like to talk about is my birth. It's obviously I was there, but I wasn't completely cognizant of events, so I've asked third parties, and they've informed me, and that's the basis on which I wrote this passage. Pitter-patter goes the rain on the window. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. And outside cars zoom up and down. Some of them dropping down to seconds, turn right. On the pavement, people hurry and scurry, both to and fro. A clap of thunder, bam! And some really gusty wind. Everyone agrees it's a pretty dramatic evening all round. Pan right, it's a hospital room. A clammy, pregnant woman lies spread eagled on the bed. She's about to produce pitter-patter of her own. She's not going to wet herself, although that's often a distressing side effect of childbirth. I'm referring to the pitter-patter of children's feet. Stand back, says the midwife. Her contraptions are massive. Get ready. Looks like Anthony Eden's about to be named Prime Minister, mutters a nurse as she strolls past the door. And Chelsea are about to win the First Division title, replies an orderly, almost certainly not educated enough to follow politics. In the corner of the room, Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley blasts from the radio quietly. You see, this wasn't now, it's then. The present tense used in this passage is just a literary device, so this next bit comes as a surprise. The scene is actually unfurling in 1955. The hospital, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in King's Lynn. The sweaty woman, Mrs. Dorothy Partridge, my mother. The child's head slithering from her legs. It belongs to me. The child is I, Partridge. You've done it! Brilliant pushing, says the midwife. She holds the newborn aloft, like a captain lifting a fleshy World Cup. The child throws his head back and roars the roar of freedom. The noise is relatively nonsensical, but no less intelligent than most babies would produce. In fact, probably a bit more switched on than average. In many ways, the proud wail that burst from my lungs was my first broadcast. Delivered to an audience of no more than 8, that still equated to an audience share in the delivery room at least of a cool 100%. Not bad, I probably thought. Not bad at all. The next extract is from when I studied at East Anglia Polytechnic in 1974. Great days, great days. 1974 was a crazy, hazy time for Alan Partridge. The 60s had come to East Anglia, and it was a time of free thinking, free love, and in my case, free university accommodation. I was quite the man about Norwich, striding confidently through the dreaming spires and hallowed halls of East Anglia Polytechnic, whose alumni included newswoman Selina Scott and meteorology whiz Penny Tranter, and soaking up all the knowledge that this seat of learning had to offer. The free accommodation? Well, enigmatically, I decided not to stay in the woodworm-infested squalor of university halls, but to commute in from my home, my parents' home. Although misinterpreted by some of my peers as reluctance to cut the apron strings and live independently, the decision to reside at home was a canny marshalling of my resources. It enabled me to avoid the scruffiness of my shaggy-haired, sandal-wearing colleagues. By using my rent money wisely, I was never less than beautifully shod. Of course, it also meant that I was something of a mystery man on campus. While my fellow students lived in each other's pockets and played out their debauched lifestyles for all to see, I was far less well known. I'd be glimpsed at the back of the lecture halls, ghosting through the student union with a glass of cider, or shushing idiots in the library. And then I'd be gone. This all added to my aura, as did my idiosyncratic dress sense. Thick knit zip-up cardigans, flared brown corduroys and shiny black pepper-pot brogues set me apart from the long-haired layabouts who bore an uncanny resemblance to the Guildford Four, some of the Birmingham Six. Irish long-haired layabouts wrongfully convicted of bombing England. It was a time of sex, drums and rock and roll. Now, these three things, or four, depending on whether you count rock and roll as one item or two, provided the backdrop to a very crazy time. I know for a fact that I would have developed a pretty impressive booze habit and had full sex. Had it not been for the fact that I was expected home for 6 to 6:30. You'll notice I said full sex. Oh, I dabbled all right. Gentlemanliness prevents me from recounting some of the early incidents involving my nascent but powerful sexuality. But suffice to say, I was no frigid. I did quite a lot of kissing. Some of it vigorous enough to chap lips. Mine and hers. On other occasions, I enjoyed erotic and informative afternoons with a student whose essays I was writing. Years ago, I'd have been too prudish to discuss these sexual experiences in print, but hitting 50 has given me a newfound candidness. I'm happy to recall those eye-opening afternoons with me and Jemima sitting bollock naked on her bed. Me exploring her body with my quivering hands, while she coquettishly feigned indifference by reading album sleeves or smoking. Young I may have been, but I was confident enough to speak my mind. This strutting young cock-certain Alan would often dish out compliments as he perused and felt her body. "You're a really busty woman, Jem," I once said, "one of the bustiest on campus." "Thanks," she said through her cigarette. "You've got quite a long torso, but your legs aren't in the least bit thick. Believe me, if I didn't have lectures, I'd love to kiss your back from top to bottom and from side to side, also diagonally." The next passage is from a very difficult period of my life, when